If you study Europe's wars, depressions, and political collapses closely enough, one truth becomes unavoidable. Survival depended less on ideology and more on food. Across the 20th century, ordinary Europeans faced shortages during the world wars, economic collapse in the interwar years, and rationing that lasted well into the Cold War. Farmers and home gardeners responded with methods that were practical, repeatable, and brutally efficient. Many of those techniques are still relevant today, not as nostalgia, but as proven systems that work when resources are limited. Before we get into it, if you value historically grounded knowledge like this, subscribe to Warpaths of Europe, like the video, and leave a comment with which technique you've actually tried or plan to test. Now, let's go straight to the field. Soil trenching and deep digging kept yields stable under pressure. Throughout Europe in the early 1900s, especially during World War I, deep trenching was standard practice rather than an exception. Farmers dug 2 spade-depth trenches, burying organic matter like manure, leaves and kitchen waste below the root zone. This wasn't done for theory, but for reliability. Deep soil retained moisture longer, resisted drought, and allowed roots to penetrate deeper during dry summers. This method still works today. A modern gardener can apply it by trenching one section of a garden each season rather than the entire plot. Bury compost, grass clippings, or even shredded cardboard under the topsoil. Crops like potatoes, cabbages and carrots benefit immediately, especially in regions with, inconsistent rainfall. Mixed cropping prevented total failure during wartime farming. European farmers rarely relied on monoculture during the 20th century, especially during wartime. Fields were intentionally mixed with legumes, grains, and root vegetables. If one crop failed due to disease or weather, others survived. This was not experimental agriculture. It was insurance. You can apply this by planting beans alongside maize onions among carrots or herbs between cabbage rows. The goal is not aesthetics, but risk reduction. Mixed cropping confuses pests, spreads nutrient demand, and honestly ensures that one bad outcome doesn't wipe out the season's food supply. Cold frames, extended growing seasons without any need for electricity. They were actually widespread across Europe long before greenhouses became common. Made from scrap wood and old glass panes, these frames trapped heat and protected seedlings from frost. During the interwar years, and then again after World War II, cold frames allowed families to grow greens months earlier than usual and keep on harvesting well into winter. These days, this can be replicated using reclaimed windows or even clear plastic sheets over wooden frames. Even a small cold frame can keep lettuce, spinach and cabbage growing through the cold months, all without relying on power or fuel. This really is controlled environment farming at its most basic and dependable. Seed saving preserved independence when supply chains failed. During blockades and rationing, European farmers simply couldn't rely on commercial seed suppliers. Seed saving was a survival skill, not just a hobby. Farmers would select seeds from the strongest plants, making sure the next generation was well adapted to local soil and climate conditions. This practice remains valuable today. Saving seeds from tomatoes, beans, peas and grains reduces dependency on external suppliers and improves resilience. Over time, your crops become more resistant to local pests and weather patterns. This is slow adaptation, but it is real and measurable. Animal integration maximized output from limited land. Small European farms in the early 20th century integrated animals directly into crop systems. Chickens cleared pests and fertilized soil. Rabbits converted kitchen scraps into meat and manure. Pigs turned agricultural waste into calories. Nothing was isolated and nothing was wasted. A modern equivalent might involve keeping chickens to fertilize garden beds after harvest, or using rabbit manure directly in soil without composting. Even urban growers can apply this logic by using worm bins to convert food waste into nutrient-dense compost. The principle is closed-loop efficiency. Manual irrigation methods reduced water loss dramatically. Before electric pumps were common, farmers relied on gravity-fed channels, clay pots buried near roots, and careful watering schedules. In Mediterranean and Eastern European regions, buried clay vessels slowly released water directly into the soil, preventing evaporation. This method is still effective. Unglazed clay pots or even perforated containers can be buried next to plants and filled periodically. This delivers water straight to the roots, reduces consumption and keeps plants alive during dry spells without daily watering. Root cellars ensured year-round food security. Across Europe, root cellars were essential infrastructure well into the mid-20th century. Potatoes, beets, carrots, apples and cabbage were stored underground, where temperatures remained stable. This allowed families to eat through winter without refrigeration. You can recreate this today using a buried container, a basement corner, or an insulated underground pit. The key, really, is darkness, airflow, and consistent cool temperatures. This method still outperforms modern storage for long-term preservation without energy use. Hand tools outlasted machinery when fuel was unavailable. During fuel shortages, European farmers relied on simple, durable hand tools. Scythes, hoes and spades required no fuel, minimal maintenance, and could be repaired locally. These tools shaped farming methods that emphasized precision over speed. Modern gardeners benefit from the same approach. A sharp hoe controls weeds faster than machines in small plots. A spade allows selective digging without soil compaction. Investing time in mastering hand tools leads to better soil structure and long-term productivity. These techniques weren't developed in comfort or abundance. They were refined under pressure, scarcity, and real consequences. That's why they still work. If you found this valuable, subscribe to Warpaths of Europe, share the video with someone who takes history seriously, and leave a comment about which method deserves a deeper breakdown next. This knowledge survived the 20th century for a reason.